as Wilco makes a run ahead of him. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Dabby's ass totally stranded.
Hello and welcome, dear listener, to ABW Preview with me, Mr. Kieran, and my colleague, Mr. Carpenter. We're not going to mention the fact that VAR has decided and the PGMOL have decided, let's make this the last game of the season. Let's just give penalties away and do stuff like that. No, we're not going to mention that. We're going to try our very best and be upbeat about tomorrow's thwacking. That's a lovely word. Thwacking of Newcastle United. Kris, how are you doing?
I'm all right, Danny. Yes. I'll be probably better after whatever will be tomorrow. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right.
If people hear a big thud and a calamity, that's because my stupid cat Dora. I'm on my computer desk. I've got the computer door slightly open, so her body's on the desk, her head is on the slightly ajar door, and she's slowly melting towards the door. Dora, that's the door, my darling. I can't just let her fall. It would be hilarious. I'm going to have to close this door. Don't look there. There you go. Don't fall off. Fucking idiot. Welcome to Cat World with me and my stupid cat. Don't do it. Oh, she's going. I'll carry on with the show. Right, how do you feel about tomorrow's game? Because if I go over our recent fixtures, we have beaten Newcastle in all competitions 19 out of the last 20 games. That should fill us full of confidence. At Newcastle, the last one, May 21, we beat them 2-0, the Egyptian Perlo and Aubameyang. And then we had Matt Ryan in goal for that game. God, glory days. And we had 4 Brazilians starting the game. Gabriel, Luiz, Willian, and Martinelli. And the game before that, August 2019. I think this might have been... It was in the before times. That was good. Back in the olden days. 1-0. Aubameyang scored the goal. And the one before that was September 2018. We beat them 2-1. Xhaka and Ozil. And then the game before that was August 2015. We won 1-0 with your lookalike, Fabrizio Coloccini. Your stunt double. He's still making money for being his stunt double?
No, I haven't got the curls these days. He had more of a curly mop, didn't he? He's more David Luiz than anything else, wasn't he? Coloccini, Argentine. I think is he still playing? He went back to Argentina, didn't he?
He did. He said he wanted to go back and spend time with his family.
Was it Colón he went back to? Or I can't remember where. Yeah, but I remember he went back to Argentina for a while.
Which one of these looks the best? That one? That one? That's too big.
That's too big. That's quite cool.
And then this one.
Ooh, I like the black one personally.
The black is easy to read.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
Davison is there. Arsenal need to win tomorrow and against Everton, and we are in the Champions League. Well, VAR, PGMO might have something to say about that. It's not Bayern and Man City we're playing. 2 open teams. We need to be about fit and ruthless. He's right, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I know. We said we weren't going to address the earlier, but I'm going to address it.
I knew we would.
PGMOL/Sky/BT Sport 1 Burnley 0. I didn't go into this game thinking. I didn't even watch it. I had it on it. I've had the audio on, but I didn't watch it because why do you want to watch that shower? But I didn't expect anything from Burnley. But I almost feel more. And I have to caveat this by saying we shouldn't have to worry about other people's results. Our results are what's important. We'll come on to that. But it would have been nice going in tomorrow with a bit of a cushion of them having drawn or heaven forbid lost. But it's weird because I actually thought, to be fair to Burnley, I thought they actually played pretty well. And if they'd have gone in at half time, there's a thing. Anybody who plays FIFA will relate to this. 45th minute scripting.
It's
up
an
there.
actual thing. We've
It's
spoke
up
to
there
people in the know. Scripting is a thing.
Yeah, it's up there with kickoff cheese. 45th minute and 90th minute cheese, where your opponent gets a slightly favourable decision right on the halftime whistle. If that is, and I know the handball rule is arse and all that, but I'm sorry, if his hand's in an unnatural position, it's not like he even does that. He's just jumping, like his arm's tucked in. It's just absolutely stupid. It really is. And of course, that knobhead was always going to put the penalty away. But just, I don't know. In a week where we've seen, and let's not forget, I think people already tweeted it, the same when we went to Burnley and Pepe didn't get the handball, which was arguably far more clear cut than this one today. It's that word again, isn't it? Inconsistencies. Penalties, VAR should be used for things like the West Ham Man City game. Man City missed the penalty, the silly pillocks, but that's what it should be used for, where a defender lunges for the ball, gets nowhere near it, does the what, Migov? I didn't touch him. Replay clearly states, clearly shows he did touch him, he took him out. That's what it should be used for. This and if we're going to get into a realm of something that's really wound me up recently is where you've got Gary Tottenham Neville and Martin Tottenham Tyler sitting in the as they're now known, by the way, legally, sitting in the studio going, I'm hearing in my ear what the VAR is saying. Well, how about we hear that? How about, because it's not an issue of like Tony Adams and what's his name, David Ellery. It's not like you're going to hear the players effing and jeffing. Let's hear that VAR say we're going to make the recommendation for the referee to go to the monitor for the following reason. Have these people be accountable. And I think that's what fans are cheesed off with. It's not, if a decision is wrong, and we make a poor tackle or whatever, then fine. You expect to be penalised for the ones you do wrong, and you expect to get the decisions you get right. So for me, you either have it or you have nothing. I watched Nottingham Forest against Sheffield United the other day. Really good game of football against two sides that I'm not particularly bothered about. Just a really good game of football because there was no VAR. There was none of this bull crap of, we're going to have to refer this, refer that. It was just a really good game of football. And one of the goals was a little bit sus, but it didn't affect either team. It's very clear to me. I don't think it's a conspiracy, but it's very clear to me that Sky and BT and others would really like it if there was a couple of things on the line at the end of the season. And they're going to get their wish if we manage to win tomorrow. And maybe that's where we can transition. But today's decision was just bullshit. And although we didn't expect anything from Burnley, if that game would have been 0-0 with 15 minutes to go, who knows, Because it would have been like Brighton, where they got 3 points. But anyway, there you go, rant over.
It's true, though. Sai has been saying for ages that it's all fixed for the TV. And you think...
The newly married Simon Collins, by the way.
I said Sai. Oh, Sai and Vesh.
Oh, another Sai, sorry.
Simon tied the knot then? When was that?
Married yesterday. Yeah. Oh, these pictures on his Instagram. Yeah. Congrats, Sai, if you're watching.
How much I look at Instagram. We do
anyway, yeah.
Other.
But you are right.
That's lovely. Were you in any of his old podcasting chums, buddies, pals invited?
I certainly wasn't. No, I think he's got his own circle of friends, and I think it's up country. So
where was it?
I think it was up country somewhere. I don't know exactly, but I think it was up country somewhere.
Yeah, so Sai and Vesh in the chat, who also was having a little thing earlier because you're on, he's went, is this an emergency podcast?
Yeah, it does feel a bit like that, doesn't it?
He's just said, yes, Sai's been saying for ages that that it's all the TV and the EPL, and they're all getting together and they're making things happen like this. But it is weird that it looks like going into the last game of the season, first and second and fourth place are all still going to be, as they say, up for grabs. It's not normal, is it? But you saw on the last game for Man City when they won the league all those years ago, the audience they get and the amount of money they'll be able to ask for the advertising that comes on and all that other stuff. I mean,
well, in an ideal world, Sky want us to draw tomorrow, don't they? Or lose, but to draw, so we all go in exactly level, and then it goes down. That's what they want, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, as I say, like I'm not I'm not saying there is a conspiracy, because I think people who think like that probably need to get that tinfoil hat surgically removed. It's a bit weird. But you can't overlook the fact that there have been a number of questionable decisions in very big games and questionable incidents in very big games that have led to points being dropped by not just Arsenal, by other teams as well. And it I don't know, it's just a bit iffy. The one that really stood out to me was that Liverpool Spurs game when was it Emerson Royale took out Diego Jota, I think it was. Same referee, same referee with the same VAR, the access to VAR, no pen. And that was the most blatant shove ever. And yet the one you watched the other night and you just go, what? And I've seen people I like, do respect their footballing knowledge and opinions come out, oh, it's a blatant penalty. Like, are you all right? Like, genuinely, are you okay? Because if you think that's a blatant penalty, we might as well just call it NBA Premier League from now on, because it will be a non-contact sport within 18 months. Because, I'm sorry. And people say this fucking Nimrod was arguing with, I was in Alan Algar's Twitter feed the other day, and some Nimrod was tweeting about, player can't defend space. I was like, are you okay? Again, are you all right in the head? A player is perfectly entitled to defend space, not just the ball. So I don't know. No conspiracies, but it's just a little bit odd that big decisions go in certain teams' favours at the end of the season.
True. Like Julio Salmondo, still on the run from the FBI, last seen in Jersey, said, I'm consigned to 5th place, so I'm not going to get disheartened. Pity it's Spuds, though. So last season we did, there was Femi, Stokes, Josh. Who was the other one?
Rich, wasn't it?
Richard. That's it. They did one podcast, and then me, you, and John did another one, and did all of our predictions. Now, I've gone and spent 2 hours yesterday cutting those bits out, that section out of each of the 2 podcasts, putting them together, and then doing our predictions. And so that's already up on YouTube, but it's hidden. Only we know where it is. I don't think anybody in the ABW group bothered to watch it. Probably not, because in fact, I can check if anybody watched it, because there should only be one view on it. One other person has watched it.
That was me. Yeah, that was me last night. I didn't get all the way through, but I did watch most of it last night.
What do you think to it? I don't know if you're lying.
No, genuinely. Stokes' opinion that Aubameyang will be player of the season was a good one.
How many of us went for Pepe as top goal scorer?
Yeah, and Josh saying that Saka would be our player of the season was it's just the opposite was a good call. So yeah, I haven't gone through it all, but yeah.
I won't give you any spoilers. There's only one person out of the 7 that predicted 4th place, and some of us predicted 8th, but I won't give it away. That podcast will be released in the end of the week, after the end of the season. So, well, that's only a week today, isn't it? So it'll probably be next Tuesday or Wednesday after the season finishes.
See, I would normally be the positive one saying we can get 4th. So that would have been me probably back then. But yeah, how times have changed, eh? But it's in our hands. Should we talk about tomorrow? I mean, that's what we're here for after all.
Yes. Clock Orange says we're going to lose 2-1 at Newcastle. And Capo Reacts says people need to believe we will beat Newcastle tomorrow. Don't worry, fellow Gooners. That's a name I don't recognise. If you're new, hello. And everyone says well done. Thank you. So what's your thoughts on the game tomorrow? I mean, 19 out of 20 wins. The only decent player they got is the bloke that we should have signed, Guames, in midfield. But when you're getting offered, £20 million if the team don't get relegated or something, some crazy nonsense like that, I think we should be able to go there and beat them, because they've got their flip-flops on. They've got their toes in the Dubai sand.
When you say Guames, I assume you mean Bruno Guimaraes. Is that who you're referring to?
I think you're saying it wrong, not me.
Of course, naturally. Akpom. If you know, you know. I tweeted a while ago, I'm just trying to find it now in relation to this game. It was pre-North London derby, so obviously you've got to take that into consideration. But I sort of just tweeted and I said, here you go. So I keep reading, if we beat Leeds tomorrow, we can take a draw at the Armitage Shanks Depot. And I said, no, it shouldn't be that. We need to go to the Armitage Shanks Depot, win, and crush their pitiful existence. And the same thing applies to Newcastle. if you'd have said to us, I wouldn't even say at the start of the season because it's easy to say that. If you'd have said to us after that string of 3 defeats we had recently that we would be top 4 in our own hands with 2 games to go, you'd have absolutely bitten our hands off. I mean, after we lost to Palace, was it that night? We were bloody awful. I mean, even I went, nah, we're toast because we looked like we were, we had injuries, we looked listless, we looked clueless, we looked really poor. And we didn't look much better for the next 2 games we lost. But we have turned it round. I think Arteta probably did the right thing by just sort of putting that game to bed. I thought he showed his inexperience a little bit after the game, giving it the sort of, if I speak, I'll be in trouble. I know why he's done it. He's taking the pressure off the players. He's putting it on his own head. I totally get that. I just think it was a slight bit of immaturity there. And I think that's why the all-powering match-fixing Antonio Conte has gone after him. Let's not forget he is a proven match-fixing cretin.
10-month suspension.
Exactly.
Didn't they have 2 other? Was he at Juventus as a player during the Calciopoli or manager?
I believe he was a player and a manager, I think, from memory. He was certainly tied up in it all. But yeah, I mean, he's bent as a 2-bob no, which is why he manages that lot, as is Daniel Levy, allegedly. But yeah, I just think that if you'd have offered us that on the plate, we'd have taken it. And, today's result, whilst I always hope to see Tottenham lose because it's funny. I didn't wake up this morning thinking, oh God, I really hope Burnley do. I wasn't banking on that. I was like, anything they get from today, great, fantastic. That'd be a great boost. But ultimately, we have to win 2 games. Everton are about to kick off against Brentford. The best possible result there is an Everton win 14-0.
Then they're safe.
Then they're safe.
No pressure.
Flip-flops can go on. And I know there'll be the argument of, oh, yeah, but every team plays to the end of the season. Ask Watford about that today. Went 1-0 up, lost 5-1 at home to Leicester.
Leicester have turned up, finally.
Yeah, when it doesn't matter. But, yeah, I mean, and to be honest, even with Everton fighting for their lives, I would still back us at home in a must-win game to win. The trickier tie is the Newcastle tie, but I keep reading online that people are, well, Newcastle, we're going to get stuff. It's Newcastle, and no disrespect, I've got nothing against the Geordies. I've got nothing against Newcastle apart from their ownership, but it is Newcastle and Eddie Howe, and we're not going away to Anfield or the Etihad or, Bay Arena or the Nou Camp. We're going to Newcastle. The injury situation is not ideal, but Tomiyasu's more than capable central defender. In fact, in my opinion, he's a better central defender than he is right back anyway. We'll pair him, I assume, with who will be? Well, I guess it depends on whether Ben White's fit or not, doesn't it? Because we haven't got anybody else.
The Premier League Injury.com, Big Bob's out, Tierney's out, Partey's out, and Santos is tomorrow. This was on the 15th, which is what day? It's out today. There's a quote: tomorrow will be the day we have better answers. Probably not the answers we want until match day, but hopefully better answers. So I'd say
which is today, isn't it? And from what I can gather, Ben White did really well to even make the bench the other night. So he's not fit. So the question you've got to ask yourself is he fit enough to get through 90 minutes? And then, do we ban Jack Sim for the end of the season, or worse still, the whole summer?
Well, it's going to be Tomiyasu and Xhaka at left back. I mean, left centre back. It might have to go three centre backs.
I was going to say you're going to have to play Xhaka at centre back, arguably, if because Gabriel, whatever anyone says, that's a hamstring. You can't run that off. He's out. It's whether White's fit enough to do 20 minutes, a half and a bit, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, or not. I think. And then the other problem you've got then is if you move Tomiyasu inside, you've then got the issue of who else do you play? Who do you play on the flanks? Cedric, whether you like him or you don't, is the experienced option. So I guess you keep him at right back. But do you then bring Tavares in at left back? I think you have to, because you haven't got any other choice. So I feel like we kind of need to go up to Newcastle with the intention of trying to outscore them. Because I think if we go up there with the mentality of let's just sit in and hopefully catch them out on the counter, I do think then we're going to be in a bit of trouble because, St. Maximin can turn up on his day. Chris Wood hasn't scored for about 6 years, so he's probably due a hat trick. And Guimaraes is obviously in form. They've got players who can hurt us.
They have lost their last 2 games. They lost. I'm just looking here. Lost 5-0 to Man City, and then they lost 1-0 to Liverpool. When everybody loses those 2 games, their form for the last 6 games, they've won 4, drawn 2, lost 2, scored 7, conceded 7. Whereas we've got the same win and loss record, but we've scored 11 and conceded 9.
They were unlucky against Liverpool, to be fair. It's only Mane cheating that got them the win there. And Man City are blowing everyone away apart from today. Obviously, in recent events, they've been good in the league. I guess my concern is that classic Newcastle under the lights, last home game of the season, fans up for it. If we got there tomorrow and we start well and we get an early goal and you dampen the crowd, I could see us comfortably coming out 2 or 3-1 winners. If you go up there and you're under the cosh from the first whistle, which if Eddie Howe's got any sort of brains, he'll go at us. Then we might have to survive for a little while in that game. But let's not forget we've got enough in those forward players. In Ødegaard, in Nketiah, in Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli. There's enough firepower there to get us goals. It's what's behind that worries me a bit, and it's going to be a hodgepodge of a team. You're going to need Ramsdale to be, really focused and not sort of doing a wandering act around his penalty area. You're going to need the big characters at the back, like the Tomiyasu, to lead whoever is in central defence with him. You're going to need Xhaka to not be the Xhaka we know he can be, i.e. he's going to need to keep his head. And then in that midfield area, I presume it's going to be El Nene, and I've got a feeling he might actually bring Smith Rowe into the starting lineup and drop Ødegaard into that midfield area, which worries me a bit. But I don't think he would play Lokonga in such a big game, personally.
Too many games. He's not had enough minutes in recent games. But there's going to be goals, because Newcastle this season at home scored 24, conceded 27. And us away scored 26, conceded 29. So it's not going to be a 0-0.
I'd actually be tempted to bring Lacazette into the lineup tomorrow with Nketiah. I'd actually be tempted to go almost a bit 4-4-2, just because it gives you that more of a hold up. Because we're going to need a little bit of an outball tomorrow, and whilst Nketiah will do the chasing down and give us that pace in behind, I wouldn't be against the idea of having a focal point to hit. Maybe even putting Lacazette like into the 10 sort of role, which I don't think he's a particularly good. I don't think that's his strength necessarily, or it shouldn't be. He should be a striker, but I wouldn't be adverse to playing him in that role and dropping Ødegaard deeper, or like you say, Smith Rowe. But I think the team talk Arteta has is it's got to be as straightforward as, guys, everyone thinks you're going to bottle this. It has to be a siege mentality. Everybody is going to be tuning in. We're going to get fans of teams that don't even give a shit about Arsenal tomorrow tuning in the hope that we drop a bollock. You're going to have Man City fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea, the whole lot. They're going to be lining up waiting for us to fail tomorrow. So, we have to turn up. And let's not forget, that first 15 minutes against Spurs, they didn't get out of their half. If we'd have got in front and not, spectacularly combusted, who knows? But that's history. Like I said, we've got to focus on what's ahead now. And if we get those 3, I genuinely think if we get the 3 points tomorrow, we'll be all right against Everton. I'm not saying a guarantee it, but I think we'll be all right. Wouldn't it be funny though? Just putting this out there. Wouldn't it be funny if we somehow lost or drew to Newcastle, beat Everton on the final day, and Spurs lost to Norwich? That would be quite funny. But I don't think that's going to happen because they're absolutely dreadful.
Norwich have conceded more goals than anyone else in a very long time. I mean
that's a gimme, that game, isn't it? The Spurs will win that 3 or 4. What's the goal difference? They're ahead, aren't they?
Oh, theirs is 24, ours is 11.
Oh, Christ. So that's irrelevant.
So
it's simple. We just need to win 2 games. And I think like I was listening to Gunner Blog talk to Andrew on Us Blog the other day, and he was saying, like, listening to Conte wang on in his presser, and the bottom line is now we just need to do our job. People keep forgetting it's in our hands. If we win 2 games, there is nothing any of them can do. None of the media, none of the referees, none of the conspiracy theorists, none of that. It's all bollocks. We just did, and that's it. But on the other side of that, as much as it would hurt, and it would hurt to see them, go into the Champions League, albeit they'll be out in the group stage anyway. None of us realistically, I think even the most hardened Arteta fan or Arsenal fan would have said we'd have been, within a shot of top 4 in our own hands this time. If you'd have said that at the start of the season, or even at Christmas, or even after those 3 defeats, I think you'd have bitten the hand off to have been in this position. So if we don't make it, we still made massive progress. But there's no denying it would be pin and balloon syndrome if we don't make it out of those 2 games with 2 wins now.
Oh, we will. We'll beat both of them. It'll be a little bit closer in the Newcastle game, but hopefully, like we're saying, Everton are going to beat Brentford. Finally, Everton will be able to take a breath and go. I mean, as much as I'd love to see Fat Frank get relegated, I like Everton as a club, and I don't really want to see them go down. And it helps us last game of the season. But Newcastle, I really like Newcastle as well. It's one of the few northern places I actually like. Always like the Newcastle team, mainly down to Kevin Keegan and the stuff that he did there. But it's I think we're going to win both games. And then as much as the VAR and all the Spurs fans and all the Spurs mafia in the media and the PGMO and all these people, whether it's a conspiracy or not, doesn't matter. You can't stop us. We can go there and win. And to beat Newcastle, I'd rather have our defence out than have our strikers out, because you don't win games with a decent defence, with all your defenders there. You need to score goals. And Smith-Rowe didn't look that great when he came on against the Scum. The team was all on their asses then. But then when it comes to this game, I think I wouldn't mind seeing him start, because Martinelli, you can't expect that poor boy. He ran his arse off for every minute that he is on that pitch, and he's going to need a bit of a rest. And I think you may need something other than get the ball, run down the line, cross it to beat Newcastle, because they've got some decent midfielders at the club. That bloke whose name I can't say is a really good player, and he's turned it on in recent games. He's scored I think he scored a goal. He's got a couple of man of the matches, and they're doing really well. Yeah. But there is some truth in the fact that once a team has been fighting against relegation all season, once they're safe, they really do give up, as we've seen. So, which is why you see the classic Serie A last game of the season, 7-5s, 9-1s, 6-6s, because teams give up when they know they're safe.
I think even if they don't give up, you just don't want an Everton coming to the Emirates with something to play for. Yeah. That's the key. If you've got an Everton turning up, knowing that they're safe, sure, they'll put in a performance, they'll make it hard for us, etc., and so on. But you'd like to think, and let's be honest, like let's put it as bluntly as this: if we can't beat Everton at home, and we're putting aside Newcastle here, but if we can't beat Everton at home, we've got no business being in the top 4. Based upon our results, we looked at those Chelsea games, the Man United games, we were like, oh God. We won both of those. I don't think anyone really, if we're completely honest, expected us to go to Stamford Bridge, even though the absolute shit show that they are at the moment. I don't think any of us, hand on heart, could have boldly predicted we'd go there and turn them over in quite the fashion we did. Man United, there was more of an expectation, because they really are dreadful. And by the way, any Man United fans that are watching, maybe have a look at the dumpster fire in your own fucking backyard before you come into ours, because your club's an absolute shit show. But I do find it hilarious that they are still biting at us years later. Like, just look at your season. You physically can't catch us now. Look how bad you are. But I just think that it's just a case of if you go into a game with Everton, knowing that you've got to win to make it. If you don't do that, you just haven't got any business being in the Champions League. You just haven't. And the Newcastle game, in a weird way, Spurs winning today might actually do us some favours, because Arteta can now say to them, look, boys, you know what you've got to do. There's none of this, Spurs drew on Sunday, we can take it a bit easy. No, you've got to win, and that's it. And let's not forget Amazon conspiracies again. The Amazon documentary, it'd be nice. It'd be a nice way to see off that documentary with us in that top 4. So I'm going to struggle to watch it if we don't make it. But yeah, I just think that team talk tomorrow should be really easy for him, and he's got to trust the players. You know, he chose to have a smaller squad. That was his choice. He's got to back those players now, and I think we'd all rather go into that game with Gabriel, Tierney, etc. available. But if they're not, then they're not, and we're just going to have to play with the squad we've got.
And Eddie Howe is a decent manager. Newcastle like to play decent football at the moment. And it's going to be a great atmosphere. And it'll probably be the greatest atmosphere ever at a Premier League game. 2 games in a row.
Greatest atmosphere this side of Saudi Arabia.
Fucking jeez, shit the bed. And
you've seen their new kit. Hilarious, isn't it?
I have, yeah. Their new away kit is. I mean, they have had a history of a couple of white and green away kits back in the olden days in the 90s. But I suppose we can't really complain because Wolves had an away kit that was Portugal, wasn't it? Because there's so many Portuguese players.
Chelsea had that Russian-themed kit, didn't they? They're not the first to do it. It's just that, they had a white with blue and white around the trim on the arms. Yeah, they're not the first to do it. It's just, I think that just the timing and the way it's all a little bit. But it's the same with like Haaland signing for Man City when he's saying he's got all these opposing views, and and Messi sort of being the ambassador and then wearing a shirt which is anti-homophobia on it. It's all these things, but ultimately it's a business, it's money, and they will do what they do. Eddie Howe has done a good job there, like he has. People proclaiming him the second coming of Jesus is a bit rich, but again, this is Newcastle. Like they have John-Joe Shelby in their team. The goalkeeper's a bit iffy. Dubravka for me. Their centre back. Who their centre back? Is it Dan Burnham's? Is it Lascelles still? Who are they playing at the back at the moment? I don't remember Newcastle being particularly defensively secure in terms of I don't think they're watertight.
Well, this season, I mean, they're 14th in the league. They've won 11, drawn 10, lost 15, scored 40, conceded 61.
Well, there you go, 61 goals. So their last game that they lost to Man City, they operated in a
panic.
Notes. Well, yeah, they were in I think it's in a variation of a 4-2-3. Oh no, it's a 4-3-3. Dan Burn and Lascelles centre-backs, Emile Kraft and Matt Target full-backs, Gramaris, Joe Linton and Longstaff in midfield with Wood, St Maximin and Almiron. So yeah, I mean, it's, Chris Wood is going to be your danger, isn't he? Because even though he hasn't scored for however many months it is, you just know that a player of his sort of size and stature, like when he was at Burnley, we're going to have to keep him quiet. Callum Wilson's semi-back to fitness now. And then St Maximin, you never know what you're going to get. The one thing I would say about St Maximin, having seen him at Nice when he was in France, is he's a big stage player. He's a flashy, under the lights entertainer. So he will be bang up for that tomorrow night. Make no mistake about it. So we've got to be making sure we keep him quiet. And if he's, I would be very surprised if they don't put him against Tavares if that's who we play. And the one thing Tavares has is pace, of course. But yeah, St Maximin running up against Cedric is that's a little bit that does worry me a touch. But yeah, if you can nullify the threat, then and they can't get the ball into Chris Wood, then you. Do you remember when we used to play against them and they had Andy Carroll? It's that kind of style of of service.
Never had much luck against the likes of Andy Carroll, and who was the one at QPR?
Oh, Charlie Austin.
Yeah,
he always got a goal against us, didn't he? Yeah.
They were always decent players, but that was under a different era. But we are, like Mike is saying there, who are our centre backs? Well, I don't think we're going to rely on centre backs because we've got one. So stick Tomiyasu in the middle and have the rest of them playing around him.
I've got a suspicion Ben White might make it. I don't know why. Just the way Arteta sort of said, it's not great and played it down. Gabriel, I think, ruled it out because the minute a player does that, sits on the edge of sits there and rubs the leg and then does that sort of, carry on, Gaffer. No, if your hamstring's gone, it's gone. He's done. But White, they said that he was lucky to make the Spurs game, in terms of getting on the bench, but he didn't come off the bench, did he?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So I
not
wonder
that long
if they
ago.
looked at it and went, you know what, game's gone. let's wrap you in cotton wool. And has he been in the training pictures, Ben White? Do we know?
I've not been. I've been taking very little notice of anything. But I was going to say that Arteta should get some recognition for not panicking and bringing on Ben White. He was thinking about the games ahead. A year ago, he'd have brought Ben White on.
If indeed he was, of course. Nobody really knows. But if he did, then that's a masterstroke, because, that... As I said, and I'm not saying he'll do the full 90. I wouldn't be surprised if he only did 60 minutes. But if he does enough to get us over the line, or doesn't, does enough to get us to where we're sort of 1 or 2-0 up, and then you can. I've always said this about resting players: get the game won, bring them off. I just wouldn't be massively surprised, because the problem you've got, as Mike quite rightly says, who's our centre backs, if it's not just the fact you have only got arguably a right back at centre back, although, as I said, he plays centre back for Japan very well. But if Richarlison scored, I believe, which is good news. If you play, if you take Xhaka out of the midfield, whatever you think of Xhaka, and I'll just rest my case there. He has been. Me
and John talking about it on the podcast. The original members of the Xhaka fan club. Are you Xhaka in or Xhaka out?
I've always been out personally. But it's not like I've never been in. I've never abused him. I've never been one of those guys. I just personally don't think he's good enough for what we want. But he has been good this season. Like, that's, I won't do any disservice. He has been good, and him and El Nene's partnership has been really, really crucial. So you're not only taking that away, you're also taking away. You're not only taking away the centre backs, you're also taking away the midfield. So, and Xhaka is. The one thing you would probably say is he can probably deal with the aerial element, like you say, the Chris Woods. But if you've got Xhaka at centre back and you've got, Almiron and St. Maximin running at him, that fills me with a little bit of concern. And if you play 5 at the back, well, we can't play 5 at the back because we haven't got 2 centre backs. So the hope would be White gets the nod with Tomiyasu. Cedric plays right. I think you have to play Tavares left because you can't take Xhaka out of the midfield. You put Xhaka and El Nene midfield, and you say to one of them, you have to sit at all costs. Probably arguably El Nene, because he's quite disciplined there. And then you say to the front 3/4, go and win us the game. That's kind of it. No pressure. But,
we can also take the risk of Ben White not being fully fit, but then because the next game, Big Bob's back. And so if Ben White said, look, this is your final game of the season, Ben, go out there, do what you can. Just even if you have to just don't do anything like anything silly, any dodgy tackles, anything that could make your niggling injury any worse. But it could all be mind games. You could be fine. But I don't think you mind games against Newcastle, do you? It's they're not overly bothered.
Did you hear the Saliba conspiracies? Did you hear about this?
No, go on.
So, because Saliba is under 21 and was registered in Arsenal's first team squad at the start of the season.
Oh, yes, I did.
He could, by all rights, be brought back to the club today. Because if Arsenal, basically, Arsenal would have to pay Marseille probably a considerable amount of money to terminate his loan, which Marseille are not going to agree to because they lost last night to Rennes and still need to win their final game next weekend. But if they'd have won last night, Arsenal could have paid them quite a large amount of sort of George Graham-esque money in a brown envelope, and Saliba would have been eligible to have come into the side Monday to play. I did. Matt Spiro, a good friend of mine, was the first to sort of, because I must admit, I'm quite annoyed actually because he got a lot of retweets, and I could have gone viral, as the kids say, if I'd have leaked that one, because it's the very first thing I looked into. Because I thought,
isn't Saliba going to miss the last game of the season? Isn't that what it all hinges on?
He's suspended, yeah. But what I mean is, Marseille wouldn't risk sending him. So the way the Liga season works is that if you get cumulative bookings, you don't just miss the next game; you miss like the game after the next game. So he was able to play last night, so he cannot play Marseille's final game of the season. But my point would be Marseille is still going for the second
So why
place.
do they care if he's there or not? He's not going there next season, is he?
Well, there's still some.
They can't afford if they don't get Champions League football, they're not going to do it. They can't afford it.
It's very unlikely. But I'm just saying, I don't think they would be in any position to do us any favours, and we'd have to pay an awful lot.
Wouldn't that be lovely if we just Arteta had his arm round him at a press conference tomorrow? Got our centre back. Don't worry. Yeah.
He's popped back, yeah. Or they did like a reveal, like a single man, reveal yourself, and he like comes in out of an elevator. Yeah. No, I mean it's a nice thought. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that Bob had his moment the other day and did what he did, because I keep thinking back to that incident, and I know we're not covering that game now, but when I watched it, and I turned off at 1-0 because I just knew what was coming. But the first time that Holding, do you remember when he sort of took, I can't call him that, Hyun-Min Son. Hi, Steve. Hi, Steve, if you're watching. When he took him out the first time and he did that little knee in his back, it was a little bit sly, and he did the Diego Costa thing. He sort of turned, he just went, fucking get up, and just smiled at him. And I was like, Bob's on it. And then literally 10 minutes later, he was sent off, and I was like, because he got suckered in big time.
He did. It's ridiculous that a bloke of his experience, and if he'd have listened to the preview show that I did with Alex, the Spurs fan, I said that you have to just don't fall for the games that they play. Don't give them any chance to cheat, and that's exactly what Bob Reid. I mean, the referee, when he booked him, went, "That's your third booking. That's your third foul on him now. You're being booked." And then what? Gabriel and Holding should have maybe swapped sides or something. Swapped whoever's marking him, because Holding has just lost his. He went full Xhaka.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you think of Arteta, and that, I say I've come a little bit full circle in that, you know, he's certainly sort of made me eat my words a few times this season, and I do hope he carries on learning as he has been recently. But I think it was, in hindsight, it was a tactical error to put him on Son, because, you know, it was just a poor decision. If you're going to put a man marking system in place, don't have it as one of your slower centre backs, and arguably don't have it as one of your centre backs. Detail one of the midfield men, i.e. El Nene, or even you know, Martinelli or a Saka would have been perfect. And he's the other option, by the way. You could drop him into the left back role tomorrow. Not that I think we should, but you could. But yeah, just say to one of the wing back or one of the wingers, right? You know, when you come back, Cedric's going to be marking Son, or on the other side, whoever the left back was. Who was the left back the other night? God, who was the left back the other night? Oh, we didn't really play with left back, did we? He's kind of hold it. Anyway, you just detail the fullback or the winger to be doubling up at all times. You do not let him go anywhere near the penalty box, because that's what they did to Kane, and he didn't have a touch for 25 minutes, did he?
Well, it's rotational foul them all have a go, one by one.
The Pep philosophy. But yeah, as I say, it's done, and you know we're as bad as anyone, because we're now talking about what could have been.
Tommy played left back, didn't he?
Oh, of course he did. Yeah, he reverted over. Yeah, of course he did.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you know,
red card in the Everton game.
Oh God, it's all going wrong.
Who's that for? I mean, for Everton, Jared Braithwaite.
Oh,
Branthwaite sounds like the one who used to play for Barcelona.
The young lad. Yeah, that's Martin.
Centre back, I think.
Yeah, he is centre back. Yeah.
And I'm only saying that because I had no idea. I've never heard of the bloke.
Yeah. Decent upcoming.
They're in trouble then.
Well, they're 1-0 up, so let's keep the faith.
Right, you need to get going. You've got stuff to go and do. What prediction are you going for result-wise for this one game? People in the chat, put yours and I'll highlight it.
What am I going to go for? I'm going to go for an edgy 2-1 Arsenal win. I think we'll score first. I hope we'll score first. I think they will probably equalise. We'll all crap ourselves for a bit, and then I think we'll come away with a 2-1. For those old people in the chat, you might even remember this, Danny. We went up to Newcastle in the Righty days, and I'm doing this purely from memory, but I seem to remember we got a 2-1 up there, and I think John Hartson scored one of the goals back then. It was that long ago. And I also remember us going up there and winning 2-1 when I think it was Bergkamp and Perez scored. But it was a very similar, like evening kind of game. And we sort of knew what we needed to do, and we got the results. So it will be tight, it will be tough. But remember, folks, it's Newcastle. It's not peak Bayern Munich. So let's not crap ourselves too much.
I'm invoking the spirits of Lord Hillwood and Mr. Goonaholic, and they're going to work their magical powers. And Colin, the spider catcher, is up there behind me. His son brought me around Colin's ashes. They're spying on me. Oh, my mother's turned up. So I am going to go for a stonking 4-2 to the Arsenal. There is going to be goals because Newcastle don't give a fuck. John-Jules Shelby shooting from the halfway line is probably going to fluke one, and then it's going to be a great game. We're going to do it, and we're going to beat them, and there's going to be goals. And then last game of the season, I think I might even do a final game of the season watch along. I've been thinking about that, and watch me having kittens, because what better time? We did do it once. I think maybe it was you or Gimli. We did the Charity Shield many years ago.
I think it's Man City. Yeah, I do remember us doing it. Yeah.
Another thing that ABW were the first to do, breaking ground. But I like the idea of a watch along of the last game of the season, the whole atmosphere of everything that's going on. I think it could be fun.
What I would say is, if we don't win tomorrow night, I'd just like to wish you the very best of luck finding anyone who wants the podcast this week, because I have a funny suspicion that all of ABW will mysteriously disappear into the ether this week if we don't get the result that we need. So
they're like they have been all fucking season. This is my 9,000th show in a row. I can't
talk, but I have had life commitments this year. It's not because the amount of people have been like, I didn't know you'd left ABW. I was like, that's funny, neither did I.
Even I asked you at one point this season, I said, have you had enough? You went, no, I haven't, and then you turned up.
No, I'm still here. It's hard to juggle things and find time and whatnot. But yeah, I'm still here, promise. And I'll definitely still be here if we get the result we need tomorrow.
Sure, hold on. My mother's come in.
Oh, sorry.
I'm nearly done. Right.
Sorry.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, Chris. You are my favourite. I know I told John this last week.
I know.
But he paid me to say it.
You don't need to tell me. John smells of fish. It's all right. I get it.
He does. So we're invoking the power of the Lord Hillwood and the Goonaholic to help us win these next two games. And Colin was a Gooner as well. And then we're going to do it. And we're going to win. Come on, gentlemen. Make us win. And yes, people, we will see you tonight at 10 o'clock. It'll be me and Mike, which is yes, there he is, the very man. Me and Mike doing the Sunday roast tonight, 10 o'clock. I'm in a bit better mood because the offspring rang me up and said, you hate me? And I said, yes. And then she rang me last night as well. So she knows she's done wrong. She's like a Labrador with its tail between its legs, and it's looking sheepish on that bombshell of family intrigue. I'm going to go. Thank you very much, Chris, for joining me. You've been an absolute delight.
You're very welcome. Up the Arsenal.
Do you want to tell people where they can find you every Tuesday and on the Twitters?
I mean, they should know by now because I'm kind of a big deal. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'm at KC_runs with a Z because I'm down with the kids, not on the kids. That
was never proven.
No, but yes, at KC_runs. That's the same on Twitter and Instagram if you like pictures of various things and whatnot. But yes, that's where to find me. And I'm also the host of French Football Weekly. Mostly on a Monday, sometimes on a Tuesday, sometimes not at all, depending on schedule. But yeah, a weekly podcast talking about French football, if you like that kind of thing.
Luke Howard has said Chris is my favourite.
And you're my favourite, Luke. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. No, Noser is your favourite. Come on, Noser. We need a hashtag Carpenter out like you do every time when he's not here. Don't start fiddling around and going, you can't do it now. You've got a matter of seconds to get it out there and I can highlight it. No, right, we will be back. We have Charlotte. Is it Charlotte? See, I know her sister's name. Senny, who does the drawing. I can't remember. See, now that I've got one of the names, I've forgotten. She's joining us for the post-game show tomorrow night. I'm not sure who else, maybe Stan or someone else. Here we go. Noses finally pulled his finger out of his ass and got that out there. So we'll be back tomorrow night after the game. Thank you very much, everybody, and goodbye. Moog, say goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. So long.